A's Extra.
Welcome back to the Anglers Extra pregame show here at Veterans Field in Chatham. The A's getting set to take on the Cotuit Kettleers, and it's time for the Manager Show. With Tom Holliday, I'm Josh Schaefer. Coach, today, after last night's doubleheader split with the Bourne Braves, what are your takeaways from yesterday?
Well, I kind of liked the way we pitched all day. I thought our defense was not good and kind of embarrassing at times. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that are trying to improve their game, and that's what this is about. And in adjusting to the wooden bat, that's what it's about. But you can't just walk out and not play defense, you know. And we don't have guys playing out of position. I mean, we've played Polkovich everywhere, and, you know, he might be the best I've ever had. He plays every position at the A level. But other than that, the other guys are playing their positions. And, you know, to flip balls around and throw balls away and I mean, 2 runs scored with the ball not even leaving the infield. That's embarrassing. And, you know, just try to explain to them, boys, you got to play with your glove too. Baseball players, good baseball players, are just as good with their glove as they are with their bat. And I think from this day on, it's going to have to become a talking point. And if some guys are out of position and they can't play, then you just have to make a roster change or two.
You had your team out here a little earlier than usual, taking some infield drills prior to batting practice today, ahead of today's game against the Cotuit Kettleers. Was that a result of the defensive performance from yesterday? Well,
coaches are guilty of one thing. We take things for granted, and it'll bite you in the rear end every time. And you know, we don't do a lot of those simple little things until they screw the game up, you know. And again, as you can see, we had 2 comebackers yesterday. Routine plays, we threw them away and threw the game away. I mean, we lost the momentum of that game by giving them their first 2 runs of the ball game. And I have to say that. I mean, that's one of those things you take for granted. A comebacker throw the first out. No, you know, don't do that. Well, we did that, and we paid for it. And, you know, it's like I told Cookie last night. I said, you know, that's what we get for just assuming they can all field a comebacker. So, you know, we started today. We're going to do that again. And we didn't bring anybody that was alive pitching in, but we brought the guys that were dead, and we're going to cover that. And just like to play it, the ground ball on the right side where, you know, an infielder picks it up and just flips it. Just pick it up and put it in your back pocket. You're not getting anybody out, but just to maybe look for an ESPN play by flipping it back in costs us a run. And I don't think you can give runs away with a wooden bat. And defensively, we have to tighten it up. And you know, again, I don't want to shrink down to just 9 players. I want to use everybody. So we're going to have to start practicing.
You mentioned Dennis Cook. How important is it to have him as your pitching coach back for a second season after so many years in Major League Baseball, winning a World Series? What's that like having him on your staff?
Well, I know this. He's cool, calm, and collected. And there's been some situations in ball games where that I've seen, you know, in doing what you do. You know, I saw probably 30, 40 games where you sit there and you second guess maybe the emotion of the game and what took place at that certain point. It never bothers him. And his thing about staying focused and just taking care of your business and what you can do on the mound, that's what that 15 years in the big leagues, that's what, you know, pitching in the College World Series. And it's in his personality. His personality is cool, calm, and collected. And you know what? In this game, situations will bring your blood pressure up. And I've been there. You know, I've been there, done that. Any coach that says that he's never choked in his life is a liar. You know, and as you learn that when you're young, you try to control the emotion just like a player does. And again, you know, we have a young pitcher yesterday, makes two errors on 2 routine plays. Okay, well, he doesn't get whipped. He doesn't get hit with a whip and told to go stand in the corner with his finger on his nose. You know, it's a simple thing. Finish the play. You know, throw the ball to first base with something on it. And you know, the next time we practice it, you know, it's reinforced. And so many times experience comes into play that people don't value. I value his experience. I love being around him because he thinks baseball exactly the way I do. And I don't get riled up like I used to. And there was a day probably 20 years ago where, you know, your blood gets real worked up. And I wasn't happy about those plays yesterday, but I've seen them before. So how we deal with them and where they go from the way they interpret how we deal with it, I think that's what I would call learning. And as long as they learn how to do it in the future, shoot, maybe we'll win some games.
Well, maybe you'll win one today, Coach. The Cotuit Kettleers in town to take on the Anglers at a makeup game here at Veterans Field. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
You got it.
We'll hand things back over to Cooper Boardman for more.